Man front on this Friday, busy first hour of the show. If you missed our interviews with Blake Lovell from Southeastern 16 or Wimp Sanderson, brought to you by Craneworks, you can always download the Three-Man Front podcast. We're getting ready for some SEC basketball coming up in about a half hour. 1 hour from now, we'll have the UAB Blazers as they'll be taking on the Charlotte 49ers from Legacy downtown as the American Conference gets going. It's pretty crazy. Landrum and I remember back in the days when, before UAB Arena was built, UAB played its home games in the old BJCC, which is now Legacy Arena. This is the 186th time that UAB has played basketball in that building, and they have a 791 win-loss percentage.
Come on.
Whew.
They have won 144 games and only lost 38. Matter of fact, they're 19-5 in conference tournament play in that building. Another reason why UAB wanted to have the tournament in Birmingham. They've had tremendous success, even back in the old days in the Sun Belt Conference, Great Midwest Conference, Conference USA, and now the American. But yeah, UAB has a 791 win-loss percentage inside Legacy Arena.
And we got to talk to Andy Kennedy earlier this week, and anybody that's, UAB is struggling at home this year. He said they're staying at a hotel. They're trying to, I guess, from the mental aspect of it, right? Treat it as if it's a road game, a neutral site game, not a home game for UAB. So that should
my guess, because this is customarily the way it goes in football, is it's going to be. It would have been hotel regardless. It would have been sleep in your own bed because you don't want to break that routine.
Nope.
But I think it's a really good idea, especially given this team and how they've struggled at the home arena at times. But they're going to be getting a revamped arena.
At UAB, Andy Kennedy is 11-3 in conference tournament games.
That's pretty good.
11-3.
That's very good.
So, kind of like old home week going back to Legacy Arena. Of course, when Andy was a player at UAB, they played in it was UAB Arena back then before they renamed it Bartow. So, big game against the 49ers coming up. Needless to say, UAB or Charlotte or anybody else that's not named South Florida, you would probably need to win the tournament to get into the big dance. So
UAB all-time versus Charlotte, 36 wins, 20 losses.
I just need to know, is Biff Poggi going to be here in attendance in the crowd?
I think Biff is
sleeveless.
Well, I guess Whittingham made him get out of the building at Michigan, right?
Yeah, I think so. Might have some free time.
No. Based on the conversations that I had with the Charlotte folks when we went up there for football a couple of years ago.
No, that wasn't a.
No, that was not a harmonious.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hey, let's just go both go our separate ways, and good luck to you. No, I don't think that's how that ended.
No, I don't think it did either.
That's unfortunate.
All weekend long, it will be the major conversation, Auburn in or out. We will continue that discussion. We have been speculating. We talked to Blake Lovell in regards to what potentially could happen around the conference. There's a lot of rumors going around what Oklahoma might do, LSU. One thing is for sure, that Will Wade is going to be the number one candidate if LSU decides to move on. I was watching our good friend Matt Moscona, his broadcast just about a day or so ago, and he gave the indication that there is no appetite for the LSU athletics department to pay him $11 million to walk away. $11 million for him and his staff to walk away and then go find Will Wade or whoever else.
Wait, that's what McMahon's buyout is?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes. To clean the decks, according to Matt Moscona, $11 million. Athletic department's got bigger fish to fry, so to speak. Well, let's hear from Will Wade. His team lost yesterday to the University of Virginia. They did not cover, which I was fine with, by the way. Here's Will Wade to a reporter when asked about the LSU job.
Shelby Swanson with the News and Observer. Just a lot of talk with you and potential position at LSU. Just wanted to see if anybody from that campus reached out to you and just give you an opportunity to speak on that.
No, is the job open there? Huh? No? So why would, I'm not, listen, let me be very clear. I'm excited at NC State. I was hired at NC State to do a job. This wasn't going to take 1 year. I've already met with our administration about next year and some of the changes that we need to make and some of the things that we need to do to put this program where it deserves long term. So I'm not, I don't, I'm not on social media. I'm not into gossip. I'm not into any of that sort of stuff. But look, we're going to win, and we're going to win big at NC State, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do moving forward, and we have the resources we need. We have what we need, and it's on me and my staff to get the job done.
With the exception of win big at NC State, I think he was being truthful in the rest of it. I think he believes it. We'll have to wait. But that tells me, with what he just said, and I know they're all liars, but someone from LSU has already said, yeah, they're not going to pay that buyout.
Well, if we're talking about for this offseason, I would buy into that. I think the first chance he has to go back, he's gone.
Yes.
The way that he said that, is the job open?
Huh?
That's when you come out and you say, no, not interested. I am staying here. The way he's gone. The first time they call him, he's gone.
Will Wade, never short of a great sound clip. That's for sure.
He's a good basketball coach.
Speaking of LSU, this little nugget came across my files yesterday afternoon. Haven't seen a lot of people talk about this, but it's official. LSU is being sued. They're being sued for NIL information. Tiger Rag website that covers the LSU Bengal Tigers, along with online news site Louisiana Illuminator, I want to say Illustrator, it's Illuminator, and WAFB Television is suing. They filed paperwork in the 19th Judicial District Court in Baton Rouge. They are requesting all records of NIL payments to all LSU athletes. They don't want the salary of each individual athlete, but they are suing under the state's public records law that LSU has denied them access to. They want to know how much money they really are spending on the football team. They're not asking what you spent on the quarterback. They're not asking what you spent on the DB. They want to know what you've spent in each individual sport. Now, Meg Casper-Sundstrom, who is the LSU Chief Communications Officer for the LSU system and for the president of LSU, she said that releasing what LSU pays its athletes, and this is a direct quote, would put LSU at a competitive disadvantage on the field and runs contrary to the privacy interest of our student athletes, end of quote.
How's it a disadvantage when you're paying more than just about anybody else in this sport?
I don't have a problem wanting to see the records.
It's a public institution.
Yeah.
This is not a private institution. The hearing in the case is expected in the next couple of weeks, but the headline, LSU is being sued for NIL information. Tiger Rag, which is one of the top LSU fan sites, online news site Louisiana Illuminator, and WAFB Television has filed this lawsuit in conjunction with each other, asking for the records.
Just curious, you had the governor in the state of South Carolina that vetoed.
Correct, because he wants it public.
He wants it public.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have stations because they want that information public. Do we start seeing more of this from other states where eventually maybe this leads, when exposing these things, leads to some guardrails?
Possibly. And for the record, the owner of the Tiger Rag website also pointed out that they have requested NIL records at other Louisiana schools. So this is not just, hey, we want to know what's going on at LSU. We're picking on you. I believe they've reached out to Louisiana Tech and University of Louisiana Monroe.
I bet Brian Vincent would give them that real quick.
Yeah. Everybody would be pretty
We
shocked.
got nothing to hide here.
Yeah. But they are being sued in the 19th Judicial District Court in Baton Rouge for access to the records.
I got no issue with that. I'd like to see it.
It's just funny how we've gone from getting rid of Brian Kelly, the governor makes a big deal about money and how they're going to be smart financially, and now here we are a couple months later and they're trying to hide how much money they're
Well,
spending
wait,
because they're spending a ridiculous
and
amount of money.
you want to see the dollars, but information gets out. People talk. We got information that Auburn was roughly $12 million towards their basketball roster this year. Matt Moscona kind of broke down what LSU paid, but I would like to see in black and white what you actually paid, because some of this masking and the moving around.
I mean, you had Brian Kelly do an interview, a week or two ago and say, yeah, Lane Kiffin's spending $40+ million on that roster. Brian Kelly just came out. Yeah, that's what they're spending.
Yeah.
He's not going to hold back now.
Well, speaking of that, Nate Oates met with the media, and the topic of NIL and Alabama basketball came up. Take a listen to what he had to say about Alabama's investment in basketball.
First and foremost, I firmly believe that we're going to get the right players for our program, and we want players that come here for reasons that don't have money at the top. I think when you take players in, that money's the number one thing, I think you end up with problems. Now, having said that, we got to be fair, and we got to be in the market, and we got to be, competitive. And I think right now I've had conversations with our administration, and we're going to be competitive. They're doing a very good job working with our donors, business owners, the whole thing, how it needs to look now. So when we tell a guy that he's getting his money, he's getting his money because we're very confident that he's going to be able to get it. So I think with the money that's going to be delivered through both Rev Share and NIL Go, we're as good a place as anybody in the country, and I'm going to leave it at that.
That was Nate Oates about the Alabama drive and the NIL, saying that hopefully it's not money the top thing that would attract someone to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, you would hope not. 5 years ago, I think money does. Now, going and playing for Nate Oates in that system, there's a lot of things that he and his staff can point at that would sell a kid on why it was better for them, and not saying that ultimately Alabama paying more or being $1 less than another school is gonna tip the scales, because he does have a proven track record and they've been successful. But I think we'd be naive to think that money was not the driving factor in a lot of these kids' decisions.
I will say this about this year's Alabama team. It can be completely different for next year, but they are getting a heck of a deal this year with what they're paying and what this basketball team has been able to do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you look at a guy like, I don't know how much he's making, for example, but like an Aiden Holloway, right? That's somebody you went and got when he was maybe a little down on his luck and his luster had faded a little bit. So you probably got him for a little cheaper. You developed him. A guy like Amari Allen, who, is not a 5-star guy, but is now developing into a first-round pick. They're doing a very good job, especially this year, it feels like, of developing their talent and being able to buy low on some guys that they see, hey, with some coaching and off-season program, they're going to be just as good as these other guys that we could spend $3-4 million on.
If you've got a good core like a Phylon that you can build around, I go back to the Final Four team from Auburn a year ago. You had Janai Broome, but look at those other support pieces. Do you think they had to pay a lot for Denver Jones or a Chaney Johnson or no?
It's coachable, hardworking guys.
Yeah, they found a guy like Miles Kelly who was great as another guy that could score, but he wasn't making over $1 million, I don't think, to play at Auburn. So yeah, it's finding those right pieces that right fit, and it seems like Nate Oates, to your point, developing that talent, you get them there and they stick around. That's rare now in college. In college, anything.
Yeah, and I think we all understand they spent a lot of money to bring LeBaron Phylon back because that was a guy that could have gone and tested the NBA waters, and that was obviously a smart move. But I look at somebody like this year, Jaleel Bethea, hasn't played a ton this year. He was a 5-star kid coming out of high school, went to Miami, didn't have a great year. Probably were able to get him, for not a ton of money. You bring him in this year, you let him develop, and then next year, you feel like you probably got a really good player that a lot of other people overlooked because he had one bad year of college. And that's a credit to coaching and being good with your finances. So we'll see if they can continue to do that.
We're continuing to keep our eye on a bunch of scoreboards around college basketball. There was one important game that is going on right now in the Atlantic 10. You remember yesterday morning we were talking about there was 2 tournaments that you need to pay very close attention to, and that was the MAC, see if Miami, Ohio, if they got upset before they won the championship, which happened as UMass beat them yesterday. The other one I told you about was St. Louis, the Billikens, as they're in the Atlantic 10. Well, right now, with 3 minutes and 52 seconds to go until halftime, George Washington is beating St. Louis 39-20.
Like the Ole Miss and Georgia game.
So everything we talked about yesterday morning, potentially that could go wrong for Auburn, is going down that road.
I wasn't even thinking in those terms. I was just thinking St. Louis and some of the things that they were tied to with U.S. integrity. And it's going to be interesting to see how they play in the second half.
And they just announced this morning, St. Louis Post-Dispatch is reporting that their head coach just got a huge new deal at St. Louis to stay put.
Oh, that's.
And he's losing by 17 with 3:21 to go.
I'm pulling for UMass in that tournament. I want to see Frank Martin back in it.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're, watching against St. Louis, you probably want them to lose by 30 or 40 points because then maybe that does knock them out from getting an at-large bid if you're Auburn, for example. But
they're 27-4 on the season.
it's a good. I mean, they're good, but. Ugh.
Okay, I will say this. Maybe this is just a matchup thing because they beat George Washington in the regular season at home 79-76.
Everyone has their kryptonite.
Yeah, George Washington's 8-10 in the Atlantic 10, 18-14 on the season. So
maybe George Washington is their Ole Miss.
Possibly. But it does not bode well because most people believe that the A10 was, St. Louis is going to get in. So that just makes it more problematic for an Oklahoma, Auburn. Obviously, if Oklahoma wins, they might knock Texas out. I mean, it's going to get really interesting in the next 24 hours. We will continue on. The Blazers get ready to tip off at the top of the hour. Bama later tonight against Ole Miss. That's a 6 o'clock tip-off. All that straight ahead here on Jocks. It is 11:20 here on this Basketball Friday. UAB pregame show over on our sister station at 11:30 on Jocks 2. Alabama will tip off at 6 o'clock tonight, taking on the Ole Miss Rebels. I want to remind everybody about Golston Tree Service. If you got a dangerous tree that's leaning over your house or maybe branches blocking your view, call Golston Tree Service today, 205-337-4443. Golston's licensed pros handle everything from trimming and pruning to full tree removals, fast, safe, and affordable. Don't wait until the next storm causes damage. Call Golston Tree Service. Golston also offers that 24-hour emergency tree service. So when it comes to your trees, don't risk it. Call Golston, number 205-337-4443. A lot of discussion about the Auburn Tigers, what happens now as they lost to Tennessee yesterday. This morning, Joe Lunardi has Oklahoma now as the first team out. The Auburn Tigers would be the second team out. And if you start looking at the whole bracketology, you still have Alabama as a 3 seed. They, according to Joe Lunardi, would play in Greenville, South Carolina. In that pod would be the 6 seed Wisconsin. They'd be taking on the 11 seed, the Miami of Ohio Redskins. That was their old name. Sorry. And then Alabama against Troy. So the winner of Alabama and Troy would take on Wisconsin in Miami there in Greenville. And then the winners of that game then ultimately would be hooked up with either UConn. You don't want to say UConn?
No, I just like how earlier in the week you get shifted over into the bracket with Duke, which, okay, that sucks. But then guess what? Duke's injured now.
Yeah. Florida State almost pulled it off last night.
Yeah, I mean, they lost by 1 point. And, okay, so you feel a little better about that. Oh, never mind. We're going to put you in there with Michigan. Have fun with Michigan.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
And UConn. Could get revenge, though. But UConn's still really good.
I mean, UConn is, but they're very helter-skelter, man.
They are. Marquette. I mean, you never know, but Michigan.
Yeah, very much so. So that is the very latest. Now, I was looking at Rocco Miller, the bracketeer, this morning, and he is holding firm on Alabama being a 4 seed. He has not moved them to the 3 line. And then when you look at bracketeer.org and what he's got Oklahoma as the 3rd team out, not the first team out. And then Auburn would be the 8th team out. So, I mean, he has had no love whatsoever for Auburn this entire time. So it's very interesting to see what he had to say there. SEC action will tip off in about 7 minutes from now, as Florida and Kentucky will be the first game of the day. And I'm already seeing a bunch of Kentucky people tweeting they're not very happy because Doug Shows is one of the officials for the Kentucky-Florida game, and Doug Shows worked last night's game. So it's like a quick turnaround for Doug Shows, and that's one of those officials that every fan base loves to have some fun with when they see that he's on their game.
Yeah, but Shows, if anybody can do it, Shows can. He's like me and you back in the day for tournament baseball.
Yeah, give me 7 games.
Give me the shin guards. I'll take the plate next 3 games.
I'm ready.
109-degree heat. No Shows. That's how he feeds his family, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he literally, you could turn on the TV and see him play, 4 or 5 games a week? Or a call.
And you never know where he's going to be. No game is too small for Doug Shows.
No.
Because he's been on some games that I've been a part of. Wow. We get Shows for this game?
Mm-hmm. Right, man. That's big time. He must have, happened to be in the area, and he had his reffing clothes in the back of his trunk.
No kidding.
He's like, hey, I'm ready to go.
I think sometimes he gets a layover. He's like, you know what? I can knock that one out in 4 hours.
I got nothing to do.
Yeah.
It's a great point. Yeah, I've got a 12-hour delay at DFW.
Yeah. The coordinator of official, whoever assigns these things.
SMU.
He's their first call.
North Texas.
Doug will do it.
Yeah. You got anything open?
Doug will do it.
Doug's free. So the debate is Auburn. Stephen Pearl yesterday, which he should do. He's the head basketball coach of the Auburn Tigers. This is what he had to say after the loss.
Some of the biggest, things that we're told to do in scheduling, especially during football season, is to get some of these primetime matchups for TV ratings and to compete with football. So that's why we play teams like Houston and Purdue and Arizona, and we go to the Players Era, and we do all those things. So we scheduled a really hard, out of conference schedule. We had some really quality wins in that streak. If you look at, this tournament is a team of who you can beat. And if you look at, if we're going to look at 6 teams on the bubble right now with Texas, SMU, VCU, Miami of Ohio, Missouri, New Mexico, we have more top 25 net wins than everyone in that group but Missouri. We have more top 50 wins than everyone in that group. We have 2 top 25 road neutral wins, which is more than everyone else on the bubble. We have more wins over the projected field than anyone else on the bubble. If you look at the major metrics that they use, net, KenPom, BPI, T-Rank, KPI, strength of record, and wins above the bubble, we are better than every team in that group in at least 5 out of the 7 categories, and in a couple of them 6 of the 7. If you look at our strength of schedule, overall we're at 3, and out of conference we're in 15. And if you look at the rest of that list, they're far below us as far as the schedule that we played.
I understand it from the scheduling perspective, but my question is this, and I've made my piece on Auburn this year, but if they win the Ole Miss game, they don't lose that one at home. Are we even having this conversation? I don't think we are.
No, and the problem is you can probably point to 6 or 7 games,
a lot of them,
and have that same logic of you just win one of those games and you're okay.
It's the same debate we have during the college football playoff. Are we taking teams that are deserving, or are we taking teams that you believe are going to be able to win some games and potentially be a good member of the tournament and potentially win a national championship?
Right.
That's the debate.
And I think that there's some tournament teams, Pat, that Auburn matches up very, very good with. That Auburn's guard play could get them by those teams. But
well, and I buy into the argument of, well, would Miami, Ohio have beaten Florida or Arkansas or St. John's? No, I don't think they would have. But then you also have the really bad losses that go along with that argument for Auburn. And,
the best thing for them to do, if Auburn gets to Sunday, and because in my opinion, what has happened across college basketball in the last 24 to 36 hours, I think Auburn is in really serious trouble. I do not see them making the tournament. I don't.
No.
But if somehow they get in, you got to put them in that first 4 game against Miami of Ohio.
Absolutely.
You have to.
I don't think there's any question they'll be in that first 4 game. Now, Miami of Ohio, is that going to be the matchup? That'd be disappointing if they're both in Dayton and not playing one another.
Right.
And I can't see them not
They
doing
will
that.
play each other. Yeah.
Yeah. They want eyeballs, and they have the luxury of getting creative with that. By the way, St. Louis has cut the George Washington lead to 13 with 20 seconds left. 47-34 at the half, or with 20 seconds left.
Someone just told me the live line is St. Louis +6. If that's of interest.
Bug Guy says the path for Auburn is St. Louis wins the A-10, VCU loses today.
You need Oklahoma to lose.
I've already made up my mind that Auburn's not in the tournament, but
we thought 2 weeks ago that was made up, and it's not. So,
you're right. More text rolling in 205-834-9450. This one rolling in. Sorry, Reba. Sorry, Conrad. But Ole Miss is beating Bama tonight.
Hotty toddy.
Can Auburn get in the tourney and leave Keyshawn Hall at home? Zeke wants to know.
It's unfortunate, but I think the reality is you're still better with him on the team. But it's frustrating.
And Drake says, guys, the Rowdy Reptiles will be loud for the Gators today. Well, I'm sure Florida will have their fair share of fans.
Well, and when they played, what was it, Saturday when they played? Florida crushed them in this first half. They were up, I think, 17 at halftime, and then Kentucky came back and made it somewhat interesting, or at least made it look closer than it was. So maybe that sticks with you a little bit of, all right, yeah, we saw what they did in the second half. Now we got to go out there and for 40 minutes, we're going to joyless murder ball, as they used to say.
Another game that is already underway out of the Big Ten tournament quarterfinal. Michigan leading Ohio State 22-14. Our buddy Yax Lindeborg, 1 point
And they're
so
up by
far.
8. Big Ten Player of the Year.
8.5 minutes to go in the first half of that one.
Molly, I wonder if, because obviously in football we know it's a huge thing, and I'm sure it carries over to basketball as well. Like it kind of has with Alabama and Auburn. Is the Ohio State-Michigan basketball rivalry still a massive? I just didn't know if
I would assume so.
I just didn't know if in Big Ten country it's like the biggest rivalry in Big Ten basketball like it is in football.
I don't want to say it's probably the biggest basketball rivalry.
But
But
it's
like a Purdue, Indiana,
okay.
I would think.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I guess now that UCLA and USC are in the Big Ten, I don't know. You just never hear much about Michigan and Ohio State basketball. At least I never did.
Yeah,
I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know.
it means something.
I mean, they still hate each other.
Well, yeah.
So that's not going to change.
I'll go back to Cliff
Yeah.
Ellis and the Chris Porter years. Was that the Sweet 16 when they ran into Michael Redd and Scooney Penn at Ohio State?
Yep. Didn't they play that up in Knoxville? I think that's where they played it.
Ohio State won that game. For our young people that don't remember. This Auburn fan says, I would rather see Auburn in the NIT without Hall than in the tournament with him.
Serious question. Do you think Auburn would accept the invite to the NIT?
I don't.
I do not either.
I don't think UAB will accept one. And I think someone sent me something yesterday. I think the CBI is not even going to have a tournament this year.
No, well,
Now
Also-
Fox is still doing their
The crown.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're still doing that.
Also, Conrad, back to your question. I think the Michigan State rivalry in terms of basketball.
that's maybe bigger than Michigan Ohio State.
Yes. Like I said, they still hate each other.
Good call. That yeah.
But
that makes a
Michigan
lot of
State
sense.
is, they got Izzo and everything. So
That makes sense.
just from my experience.
We will continue on this basketball Friday on 3-Man Front on Jocks.
11:36, three-man front. Landrum, Pat, Conrad, and Molly. UAB is going to be tipping off in the American Conference Tournament. Coming up at Legacy Arena, the BJCC at noon. UAB knocking off Charlotte on the road before they had their regular season finale here in Birmingham. UAB is a 5.5-point favorite, Conrad, right now as it stands over the 49ers.
And that was one of the games they had to win late in the regular season to get that double bye. So they've, familiar opponent, one that they've taken care of business of here in the last couple of weeks. And as we've talked a lot about, not a home game technically for UAB. It's a neutral site tournament game and treating it as such. And I think UAB is in a really, really good shape. Pat brought it up. AK 11-3 in conference tournament games. That'll work.
Not too bad.
That'll work.
Another big game coming up at Legacy later on this afternoon. 2:30 tip. You get North Texas and Tulsa. UAB has beaten both of those teams.
And, I know before the show we were kind of talking about the game, and you had some thoughts on North Texas and that potentially being looking down the line, not, getting ahead of the Charlotte game or anything, but that could be a very tough matchup for UAB because UAB going to need to win the conference tournament if they want to go dancing. So
yeah, and that's a North Texas team that they like to play physical basketball, and
yes,
they can muck it up, so to speak.
Yeah,
make things difficult, problematic.
But hey, if you're UAB, you're in a great spot. You're 3 wins away from going back to the big dance, and I mean, if I'm not mistaken, every potential opponent, including they're going to play Charlotte, and then who they could potentially play over the weekend, they've beaten them at some point or another this season. So you've seen yourself do it. Got to do it one more time.
Yeah, hopefully that magic is downtown inside of the Magic City for Blazers fans and Andy Kennedy, and UAB can book another trip to the NCAA tournament. Well, you can book a trip to our friends at the Garage in Pelham. The Garage in Pelham. Bob is the owner. He's just a wonderful human being. First thing you need to know is just go to the website, thegarageandpelham.com, and look at the reviews, or you can search wherever you find reviews. You're going to find 5 stars across the board, and it's people that have used them when they lived here in the Birmingham metro, and now they still use them, and for significant repairs and maintenance, they're going to the Garage. They've got customers in Montgomery that still drive, an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 30 minutes to come to Pelham to leave their cars because they trust these guys, and we deal with folks like that all the time. People buy from people, and especially the relationship business here in the South, in Alabama. That means something. It certainly means something to me. And I want guys that I know, people that I know that I can trust, and having those relationships. And that's why it works for folks like the Garage and Pelham and Bob and Robert and Richie. It's just those personal experiences that they've had. Get the AC checked. It is going to be warming up. We've got the cold weather that's here right now, but they've got the new diagnostic machines, and any kind of coolant, refrigerant that your car, your vehicle takes, they've got it. Also, they got a $40 off AC check coupon, so you make sure you're good to go there. All kinds of warranties. They're going to take care of you. It's the professionalness that they handle their customers with, and it's that clean lobby that your wife, your girlfriend, your daughter is going to go into, and you're not going to have to worry about them being treated with respect. You're going to get that at the Garage in Pelham. So check it out, thegarageandpelham.com. Make the short drive, or wherever you are. Maybe it's Crane Hill, Alabama. Maybe it's Montgomery, but always tell them Landrum from Jocks sent you.
And as we await the tip-off of Day 3 of both the SEC and American Conference tournaments coming up here in about 20 minutes, some of the other games we're keeping an eye on. You've got Michigan, Ohio State. A little under 6 minutes to go now in the first half. Michigan up 8, 29-21. And as Landrum mentioned, Yak still with only 1 point. So Michigan taking care of business there regardless of that. We're at halftime now with St. Louis and George Washington. It was a 19-point lead at 1 point for George Washington, now down to 14. So that score 48-34. And as we've talked about, St. Louis, if you are somebody that wants Auburn to go dancing, you need them to kind of have a big comeback here in the second half, most likely. Over George Washington. And then another game that just tipped only about 3 or 4 minutes in, Missouri State up early on Louisiana Tech there in the Conference USA semis as well. So a lot more basketball tipping off in about 20 minutes, but Always good to have that early morning basketball, especially on a Friday. It's nice.
That's right. Mike Rodak, who covers Alabama there at Bama 247, he's going to be joining us at 1:30, but Mike is a proud graduate of Providence College. And Providence College yesterday, their athletics director fired their head coach, Kim English. Kim English, after 48 and 52 tenure, 23 and 37 in Big East play. I bring that up because Porter Moser, I've seen his name potentially linked to the Providence job. I've also seen his name potentially linked to replace Bobby Hurley there at Arizona State. But Porter Moser and his Oklahoma Sooners, they're still alive. Now in better position, if you're looking at the bubble, some would say, than the Auburn Tigers. But all Oklahoma has done is won 6 straight. And they've done it in impressive fashion, and it hasn't been throwaway teams.
No, it hasn't. They've won, on top of that, 8 of their last 10, and you just go through, and while they don't have the, maybe the top-end wins of a Florida or a St. John's or something that an Auburn does, they've been playing their best basketball the last month or so of the season, and that has to mean a little bit of something.
I think it means a lot. I think it should mean a lot.
It should.
Now, how do you balance that with the metrics and how we configure net rankings? It's supposed to alleviate some of this, but eye test has still got to matter. And you got great, knowledgeable people. I trust the NCAA basketball committee that Martin Newton's on, that Greg Burns on, more than I do the college football playoff committee. I think we would all say that.
Yes,
because they're basketball folks. They. I'm not saying they're not football folks, but these guys get it.
Yeah.
I absolutely think that Oklahoma is worthy of being in the NCAA tournament. That should be rewarded. Meaningful basketball at a meaningful time. You're playing your best right now.
Well, you take care of business against Arkansas tonight, you're probably going to be going dancing. And if you lose, again, like Auburn, you're kind of losing your fate up to a committee of 12 people. And so we'll have to see where they go. I did want to throw this out there as well because you were talking about, some coaching news there. We got this news late last night. We talked a lot about Jerome Tang this year, how spiraled at Kansas State. Things did not go well.
Got fired.
We've got the whole Tom Mars situation in limbo right now. Had the player from Kansas State said he got a migraine from the court. It's just been bad for Kansas State. But last night they did find their new head coach, and Belmont, up there not that far north in the Nashville area, Belmont head coach Casey Alexander has reportedly signed a 5-year deal to be the new guy there in Manhattan, Kansas at K-State.
Which could be interesting because I just did play-by-play in games in the AHSAA, and if I can remember correctly, I think one of those kids from Oxford was committed to go and play at Belmont.
Interesting. Belmont. Hey,
I think I got that right.
Belmont's a very, very solid mid-major basketball program.
But as we see, sometimes those coaches, they will take some of those players with them, especially when they're jumping up.
Hey, buddy, I know you were going to come to Belmont. How could I interest you in coming to Kansas State to play basketball?
Well, you think about Bucky
Sounds good to me.
McMillan when he got the job at Texas A&M last year and having to piece together and fill that roster with what he did. I think that product looks a lot different next season.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, again, they're going to be in the tournament. It's been a good season. I know they got blown out by Oklahoma, but again, they're just on fire right now. But yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. And, I think, again, Kansas State has a good history of basketball. So I think that was a nice hire by them.
Speaking of on fire, our buddy JR, he's going to join us next. He's going to give you his favorites for college basketball. But I've got to just go ahead and tell you this. He is 26-1. In the NHL since they broke for the Olympics.
That's remarkable.
26-1. He's going to give a free pick on the air for all of you next on 3 Man Front. 11:48. Let's get right to it. JR, our buddy, he has been a mainstay here on Three Man Front for as long as we've been here. He wins. I just teased it. 26-1 in the NHL since the Olympic break. But it's not only the NHL. During football season, college football, the NFL, and of course, college basketball. He's got a free pick for us. He's going to tell you how to make some money this weekend. And our friend JR joins us now on Three Man Front. JR, how are you?
Term, I'm doing unbelievable, man. I can't even sleep. I've got so much adrenaline pumping through my veins at night. My wife's like, "What's the matter?" I'm like, I've got so much on my mind. I got the upcoming trip to Vegas. I'm going to be out there for the first and second round of the tournament. We're making money during the conference championships like hand over fist. Beautiful money line last night on Clemson. Had another 3-0 in the NHL. So we are so excited. I've got so much going on. Here's what I'm going to do. I want to take care of everybody. Of course, I know everyone out there is interested in whether or not Bama's going to not only win this game tonight, but cover the 11.5 against Ole Miss. So here you go. I'm going to give it to you free. Text the word WIN to the number 545454. Again, text WIN. That's WIN to the number 545454. I'm going to give you the point spread winner of the Alabama Ole Miss game absolutely free. But look, guys, it's the best time of year, the most profitable time of year. So in the message, along with the winner, there's going to be a phone number. If you're interested in getting involved, give us a shout. No pressure. We'll give you a great strategy, and obviously nothing but winners because we're going to go 3-0 tonight with this. I'm all over the board. Love this matchup between Houston and Kansas. Love the matchup with Arkansas and Oklahoma, and love the Duke-Clemson game. So do yourself a favor. Get the Alabama Ole Miss winner free via text message. All you got to do is text the word WIN to the number 545454.
JR, we keep it real on the show, and you're honest, and I appreciate it. 26-1 in the NHL. Is that the best run you've ever had?
When I called the station, they even asked me, they're like, "Is that real?" I said, I would so much rather say I'm 22-4 because I know it's more believable, but I can't lie. It's a real. Not only is it real, it's documented. Clients are really even they're saying to me, I mean, where is this coming from? It's just my hockey guys are insanely good. We knew that we would be good coming back from the Olympic break because of all of the crunched up schedule. I think that there's so much situational hockey out there, and it's just such a pure sport. It really, I mean, am I going to say and tell you I thought I was going to go 26-1? No. Do I think I'm going to keep hitting over 95%? Well, I hope so, but I mean, heck, I'll take 70, 65%. We're killing it. So, yes, it is absolutely real. Last night had the under in the Mammoth game, had the over in the Edmonton game again. I mean, we went over in every Edmonton game since the break, and they've done nothing other than let up goals and played zero defense. And I believe they're 4-4 off the break so far. So they've been fantastic to us. And then we also didn't just go Vegas money line. That would have been too easy. We gave out the puck line -1.5, which made it +160 for all of our clients. And that was another 3-0 along with the Clemson winner. So 4-0 with our basketball as well.
You're going to be in hog heaven next week because you're going to be in Vegas for the tournament. We get the Selection Sunday coming up this weekend. But money management, just describe to the folks what they need to know heading into this big tournament that everybody likes to get involved in.
Yeah, don't be a victim to what everyone else does, and that is you get all excited, and even now, you're so excited about next week that you start betting the conference championships, and you don't go on a good run, and half your bankroll is gone, and now you're chasing, you're betting too much, and by the time you get to the tournament, your unit size is a third of what you wanted it to be. Or you do nothing, you wait till the tournament, and Thursday rolls around, and on the noon games, you love them so much that you wind up using a quarter or half of your bankroll, and you go 0-3 early. Even though you go 4-0 late, you don't make enough on it. So you got to have strategy. This is what we do. This is what we are bred on. This is why my clients make so much money. We have a game plan. Now, for the tournament, I use a different strategy than the developing strategy that I use early on with clients or the unit-based system that I use once you have an established bankroll. So when we get to the tournament, I don't even want to call it a rollover because each day we change the unit size and we also utilize a different strategy. So, look, if you want to take this even a little bit serious, if you would really like to make a nice little chunk of money for yourself and have fun during the tournament, do yourself a favor. Let me give you the winner of tonight's game between Alabama Ole Miss. I'm going to give it to you free. I'm going to send it to you in a text message. All you got to do, text the word WIN, W-I-N, to the number 545454. Now, you're going to get a text back with that winner, okay? No questions asked. Again, the winner of Alabama Ole Miss College Basketball Conference Championship tonight. You get it free when you text WIN to 545454. But look, there'll be a phone number in there. Do yourself a favor, contact us, sign up for a very small deal, and let us get you into what we're doing, not just the games, but giving you a real strategy so that you can take your bankroll to the next level. And look, it's not about betting big. Yes, we want you to get to the point where you can bet big, but you got to be careful. And one of the things we do is we build in a lot of protection for your principal, okay? Your principal bankroll is important, but we do smash them and get aggressive once we get a nice profit in that bankroll. So do yourself that favor. Text WIN to 545454.
All right, finally, the free pick as promised. I'm guessing you're going back to the wheelhouse in the NHL.
I'm going to. I mean, I only 2 games tonight, but, I mean, look, I just got done telling you how I went over in every Edmonton game since the break. However, this is going to be like a buck the trend tonight on these 2 games. You got the Kings and the Islanders, the Oilers and the Blues. The Oilers are playing the Blues. Both teams are going to be utilizing their backups, even though Bennington had the game of his life last night for the Blues. Jari's going to be on the bench as well. Then I believe Ingram will be in there. But this game's going under 6.5. There's not a lot of gas left in the tank. Both teams coming off back-to-back games. And to go out there and try to put up as many goals as they've been, I just don't see it happening. I think it's going to be a good defensive matchup, especially for St. Louis. So go under 6.5 in the Oilers-Blues game tonight. That's your free pick.
JR, you're the best. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.